A few months after the death of King Edochie, the elder summoned his sons, Chuma and Is, to the council hut. The air was heavy with the scent of burning incense and aged wood, as if the ancestors themselves had come to watch. The elders informed the brothers that the time had come to choose the next king. Their father had left the throne empty, and tradition demanded a successor. One of them would rule, and the other would stand as his strongest support. But Chuma leaned back with a smirk and shook his head. "No," he said boldly. "The village is already divided into 2 regions. Why should only one of us rule? Let us share the kingdom. Let each of us rule his own side." The elders exchanged confused glances. This was strange, unheard of. But Chuma stood firm, and he argued with such stubbornness and fire that even the walls seemed afraid of him. Is, who hated conflict, finally rose to his feet and spoke calmly. "If this will keep peace between us," he said, "then let it be so. Let each man lead his own people." The elders reluctantly agreed. On the day they were to choose their territories, Chuma immediately selected the most developed side of the community: rich farmlands, strong buildings, booming markets. He left the untouched and undeveloped side for his younger brother Is. The elders murmured in disappointment. Chuma was acting less like a senior and more like a greedy child. But Is accepted his portion with a joyful smile. "Where I begin does not matter," he said softly. "What matters is how I lead." On the coronation day, both divisions of the village erupted with celebration. Drums thundered, dancers twisted their waists like flowing rivers, and palm wine overflowed from every calabash. 2 new palaces were set up, one on each side of the community. Isa's people embraced him warmly, grateful for a leader with a gentle spirit. Chuma's side welcomed him as well, not knowing the storm that was approaching their lives. At first, Chuma pretended to be kind. He greeted the villagers, smiled for the elders, and acted humble for a day. But by evening, his true nature surfaced. He summoned every household and demanded that each person bring him a basket of food and fresh fruits, as a gift to honor their new king. The villagers didn't question it. They thought it was tradition. Meanwhile, Is gathered his people that same evening, thanking them for trusting him. He promised to build their land, nurture their farms, and lead them with compassion. The villagers rejoiced. They sang songs of hope deep into the night. Days passed, and then Chuma made a strange declaration. He marched to Isa's palace and announced that the village should be renamed, divided completely, not just in leadership but in identity. Is was surprised. "Father ruled this land without changing its name," he said gently. "Why should we?" "To differentiate it," Chuma insisted. "My side will be Oma Village 1. Yours will be Oma Village 2. He sighed. He had no desire for conflict. "If that will bring peace, then I accept." Town criers from both territories spread the news. Is humbly informed his elders. Chuma, however, didn't bother informing anyone. Instead, he created harsh laws that shook his people to their core. No one was allowed to visit their farms daily. Everyone could only farm 3 times a week, and after harvesting, they were required to present their crops to the palace. Chuma would take his share first, usually the largest, and return the rest, if he felt like it. At first, the villagers obeyed silently. But hunger soon crept into Oma Village 1 like a dark shadow. The palace storerooms were full, but the people grew thin and weak. Chuma didn't care. Each morning, he sent guards to inspect food in the villagers' homes. If they found anything too much, they would seize it and drag the owner to the palace for questioning. Life became unbearable. Meanwhile, Oma Village 2 flourished under Isa's leadership. He purchased manure for farmers, organized communal workdays, and encouraged everyone to support one another. Even palace guards helped villagers on their farms. The farmlands bloomed with crops so beautiful and healthy that they looked like they were painted by the gods. The villagers thrived, smiled, and celebrated their king daily. They brought him gifts, not because he demanded it, but because their hearts were full. This difference between the two kingdoms cut Chuma deeply. Jealousy ate him like a slow poison. He learned that some villagers from Oma Village 1 were sneaking into Iza's territory to start new lives. When he found out, he sent guards to drag them back and punish them publicly. The suffering continued. He saw what was happening and went to speak to his brother. He tried to warn him, tried to remind him of their father's teachings. "Brother," he pleaded, "you are destroying the kingdom father built with his sweat and wisdom." Chuma flared up instantly. "So now you think you are better than me because your village prospers? That is not what I said, save your pretense. I will deal with you, Is. I promise you that." That night, the rivalry began. Chuma started sending spies into Iza's territory. Whenever they returned with good news about how well Oma Village 2 was doing, he would become furious and punish them for praising another land above his own. At night, he would sit in his palace thinking of ways to sabotage his brother. He believed he was behaving as a king should. He believed everything belonged to him. Greed became his companion. One morning, Oma Village 2 woke up to screams. Villagers ran to Iza's palace, trembling with fear. Their crops were dead, completely wiped out as if someone had poured a poisonous substance on their farmlands. Iza's heart shattered. He sent everyone home and locked himself in his chambers, where he cried bitterly. "Father," he whispered, "this is beyond me. Help me." His mother found him weeping and comforted him. She knew something was very wrong. "These trials are the beginning of your greatness," she told him gently. "Endure with wisdom." Meanwhile, Chuma secretly celebrated. He felt satisfaction knowing his brother's land was suffering. Even when their mother confronted him, he refused to listen. "I know exactly what I am doing," he said proudly. "He thinks he is righteous. I will show him who the true king is." But despite the destruction, Oma Village 2 recovered. The land was blessed, and the villagers worked tirelessly until their fields flourished again. Months later, traders from a faraway land visited Oma Village 2 to buy food. They were already negotiating prices when Chuma stormed in with his guards. "Who gave you the right to sell crops before coming to my village first?" he barked. Is raised an eyebrow, amused. "The buyers go where they choose, Chuma." Chuma's face darkened. "If you do not send them to my village, I swear there will be trouble." He stepped closer. "Then bring your trouble. I will not force buyers to choose you." Chuma marched out of the palace angrily, but halfway out, he turned back and glared at Is with burning eyes. "We shall see," he said in a low, dangerous tone. And that was the moment the real battle between the two brothers truly began. A battle of blood. A battle of pride. A battle that the ancestors themselves watched in silence, waiting. Because what came next would shake Oma Kingdom in ways no one could ever imagine.